Welcome back to Let's Talk About It, and on today's show we're going to be talking about why you need a proper business email address.
So one of the biggest pet peeves that I think we both have is
Maybe the biggest.
is people that use a, let's say, free web-based type email for their business account. In other words, they'll hand you a business card and it's going to have, mycompany@rogers.com or gmail.com or something like that. I don't know about you, but the minute I see that, that just makes me think, just started, unprofessional, things like that.
It's part of your overall branding and an important part because you're probably going to use it every single day.
Yeah. And a lot of people will give the pushback that, they've had this address for so long and they don't want to reconfigure their email and stuff. And I think they just don't realize how easy it is to set up proper corporate email or business email account attached to your domain,
And inexpensive. It's not a costly thing to do.
No. And the other thing is that, this free web-based email, we can always forward that to your business account. So you're never going to lose stuff. Stuff that's already in there, we can also export and then re-import into your business email box. So You'll never lose any of that. But the impression it makes of having, my company at simpatico or bell.com or gmail.com, I just find that it gives a message. It sends a message, maybe unwillingly, but we all feel the same way about it, I think.
Yeah, you're not selling Gmail or simpatico, or you're selling your company.
Yeah.
So you want your company name in there as much as you can.
And you don't work for them, so why do you have an email address that has their domain attached to it, So some of the things that we might want to point out when creating these email accounts that are attached to your business domain would be naming, right? Naming structures.
Make it consistent. Like I do see a lot of businesses that somebody in the business is Dave at mybusiness.com, and then another one might be D Johnson at mybusiness.com, or you have first name dot last name, but you should be consistent with that.
Standard.
Yeah, whatever you choose, be consistent throughout the company. So use that same standard when naming everyone, and usually
try to avoid the first name.
Yeah, because you're probably going to have a duplicate there at some point.
Yeah.
So either go first name dot last name or first initial last name. And then that way everybody can have their own email address and you don't have to worry about it overlapping.
Yeah, agreed. So what other things do we want to take into account when we talk about having proper business email address? I guess where you would host this, because that's the daunting thing for some people. Where am I going to host this email? It seems like a complicated setup. This is why they didn't do it. And a lot of the time they have the domain name already created. They've created the website. They just haven't attached the emails to that website. They haven't made the James at or Sean S. Shea at or whatever naming you decide on. So where can we get this email hosted, Sean?
So there's lots of places that provide email hosting. I mean, our favorite, as you may know, is Microsoft 365 hosting.
You like Microsoft?
It's a very solid platform and it's very feature rich. So it offers a lot to the user.
Agreed.
It's at a reasonable cost.
Yeah.
And then you can do so much with it, and it's a very recognized standard.
So something I think people come across, but they don't realize that this is an issue for themselves, is when they have these basic, let's say we'll call them basic POP or IMAP type of mailboxes. Don't want to get too technical, but if you have a mailbox on your phone, it could be different than the one on your computer if it's not a hosted email package.
Right.
So now you have two sets of sent items. You'll have two sets of deleted items. Your calendar and contacts don't synchronize.
It's a big frustration for people.
And they don't realize it until you mention it to them, right? And it's like, well, don't you have two separate sets of sent items? Oh yeah, that drives me nuts. There's a way around that. Right?
Yeah, very, very easy. So, and if you go with a hosting type like Microsoft 365, whether you're looking at it on your tablet, your phone, your computer, it doesn't matter. It's all the same everywhere.
Yeah.
So it makes it very easy to deal with email. Once you've read an email, it's been read on all those devices. You're not dealing with the same email over and over again. So it's so much simpler to use for people.
Yeah. Now another thing we hear sometimes is, how can I have multiple different accounts? Let's say, I don't know, something that we see a lot is info at or sales at or or service at. They feel like they're going to have to pay extra to have these, and it's just simply not true.
Yeah, there's a lot of new variables that have come out that make it much easier to use mailboxes like that. And in our own business, for instance, our help desk mailbox is what's called a shared mailbox. So a number of people in the organization have access to that because we want our whole help desk to be able to see that. So those are things that you can do very, very easily and at no cost. You just, everybody that accesses it needs to have their own mailbox or license, if you will, to access that. And the other thing you can use, in some cases, you might want to have the same mailbox but under different names or aliases. And that's something else you can add to a mailbox. You know, maybe you want somebody to be able to email you at info@ or information@ as well. That would be the alias.
Yep.
And those all go to the same place. So those are things that there's no real cost involved, but it might make it easier for you
for
and your
management.
business. Yeah.
One of the tricks we do is if someone has left the company and the new person's taking over, we'll put the old email name, you know, the address, as the alias to the new person's mailbox. So if anybody happens to still write to the old person, it doesn't get lost. It gets put into the proper mailbox anyway. That's one trick we can use aliases for. So to summarize, we're going to want to use a business email address to have the professionalism and the look and the association to your branding that you're going to want as a business owner. You're also going to want the features that are rich in a synchronized mailbox, whereby you have one single mailbox on all your devices, things like that. Why don't you let us know how you feel about business class email, how it's helped you, what it's done for your business. We'd be glad to see your comments in the links below, and let us know what you think, and we'd be glad to answer any questions you have. Send us an email, and we hope to see you all again next week.